Hello, everyone, and welcome on behalf of the Federal Highway Administration's Transportation Planning Capacity Building Program. Today, we're delighted to share with you the winning projects from the 2017 Transportation Planning Excellence Awards. My name is Jonah Chiarenza, and I'm working through the Volpe National Transportation Systems Center as part of the U.S. Department of Transportation, assisting Federal Highway with administration of this award program. So we'd like to share with you just a few statistics before we get into the presentations of the projects. In 2017, we had 63 completed nominations to the program that represented 28 different states, and then our collection of 12 national judges helped us select 14 winners in the program. Those judges include representatives from national transit, transportation, and planning organizations, as well as academia and federal, state, and regional government agencies. So a broad selection of judges reflecting very much the pool of applicants that we had as well to give us a good, fair, and balanced adjudication of projects and selection of the final winners. Submission categories for the Transportation Planning Excellence Awards range from planning environment, livability, sustainability, and public health, which is our most popular submission. You can see with 55 submissions in that category, ranging down to emergency and safety planning. Applicants are encouraged and welcome to apply within 3 different categories. And so many of the projects, as you'll see today, really sort of cover more than just one of these submission categories. And that's reflective in the quality of these projects in their breadth and applicability to lots of different salient planning, transportation planning topics. So the evaluation categories, projects were selected for award based on their performance in these 7 categories: context-sensitive solutions, community public involvement and partnerships, multimodalism, the potential for long-term benefits, attention to equity, innovation and effectiveness, and implementation and implementation strategy. So the projects reflect some plans and some built projects, and we've asked our presenters to actually, to the extent that they can, provide sort of an update from when they submitted their projects in the fall of last year to bring us up to speed on steps they've taken towards implementation. So the 2017 TPEA award winners represent a broad array of project types, as I said, from concepts and plans through operational changes and built projects. But they do all have one thing in common, in that they apply innovative strategies to very common challenges in transportation. These challenges are what we experience all over the country in making transit systems more efficient and better tailored to the evolving needs of our new riders, including the needs of people with disabilities, importantly, finding ways to improve people's quality of life and health outcomes by expanding safe transportation options, not just in urban conditions, but also in suburban and rural contexts, coordinating long-range transportation planning with regional land use planning and potential environmental impacts to ensure regions can accommodate continued economic growth, something that we all struggle with and work in different parts from sort of the small project implementation all the way up to these long 20-year regional plans. And as you'll see today, sometimes beyond 20 years. And using a broad number of different channels and messages to successfully communicate with a full range of our constituents. So here are our winners. The Best of the Best award went to Sandag for their San Diego Forward project. We had awards go to Southern California Association of Governments for their Go Human campaign, MARTA in the Georgia region for a comprehensive operations analysis, North Carolina Department of Transportation for indirect and cumulative effects in long-range transportation planning, Central Oklahoma for the Northwest Multimodal Transportation Corridor Concept Plan, Dunwoody Village, also in Georgia for the Village Main Street Project, MTC in the Bay Area for a strategy for a sustainable region, the Plan Bay Area, and One Bay Area Grant Program, Atlanta Regional Council for their Walk, Bike, Thrive Atlanta project, Memphis MPO for Coordinated Public Transit Human Service Project in Montana, the Missoula to Lolo Trail, and Jacksonville Transit Authority's transit system modernization. Honorable mentions went to Metro Transit in St. Louis for their North County Transit Center, and the Florida Department of Transportation's Florida Transportation Plan, and the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada for the Mobility Training Center. So how we're going to work presentations, we have 14 7-minute presentations. They're given in a sort of Pecha Kucha style, if you will, with approximately 20 seconds per slide. We're going to use the chat pod for questions. So if you have questions during presentations, please feel free to type your questions in the chat pod, and we'll be collecting them and providing answers through a Q&A that will be distributed to participants after the webinar. We'll also be recording the webinar, so if you or your colleagues aren't able to stay for the whole thing, you'll have access to it after the fact. And finally, for more information, look for an upcoming update to the current TPEA 2017 website, which does include brief descriptions of the projects now. We'll be producing a full brochure for download, and that'll be available on our website within the next couple of weeks. And so without further ado, I'd like to turn things over to Phil Traum to tell us about the Best of the Best project, Sandag's presentation.
Great, thanks, Jonah. As Jonah said, my name is Phil Traum. I'm with Sandag, and I'll be sharing with you our regional plan today. Okay, so first, just give you a quick overview about Sandag. Sandag is a council of government tasked with regional decision-making and building consensus throughout our region. Sandag stands for the San Diego Association of Governments. This you see on the slide here is our region and our jurisdiction. There are 18 cities in the county, along with the county itself, that make up Sandag. This slide shows some of the unique California requirements for long-range planning, which includes the need to have a sustainable, it's called a sustainable community strategy, which requires California MPOs to meet per capita greenhouse gas reduction targets, and those are for the years 2020 and 2035. Also, we have a requirement to develop regional comprehensive plans in the state. So what's interesting about those two requirements is that Sandag combined these two requirements into our regional plan, which represents a blending of the Regional Transportation Plan, or RTP, with the Regional Comprehensive Plan. And so the single vision that was developed for this plan is to provide innovative mobility choices in planning to support a sustainable and healthy region, a vibrant economy, and an outstanding quality of life for all. Fundamentally, really, the plan is about connecting our communities with better mobility choices, and it's about providing more opportunities for people to live closer to the places they want to go while supporting the economy. And I should mention this is a 2050 plan. We go all the way out to 2050 because of our sales tax measure, which really gives us some interesting opportunities to look at mobility from a whole host of perspectives. We conducted a extensive outreach program for the plan, and that really started at the beginning of the process. These are 4-year planning efforts. So we really wanted to get the community engaged early on, which kind of a testament to that was that we received about 7,000 comments before we even had a draft out on the street. And that meant we were really able to collect these comments and absorb them into the entire process and build them into the draft plan. As we got to a draft, and we received about 1,000 comments in the draft period. And really, that helped include a lot of community feedback throughout the process rather than at the scale. We also did a large amount of outreach, including online videos for several key elements of the plan, with a supportive social media campaign. So what are we planning for in the region? We're a growing region in San Diego County, and we expect by 2050 the addition of 1 million more people, the addition of about 500,000 new jobs, and 250,000 new housing. So we're a growing region in general, but we're growing in different ways than we previously anticipated. And as I'll go on in the rest of the presentation, this provided some real opportunities to rethink the way that we did the regional planning, especially going out to the year 2050. We're growing up and not out, and with most of our growth occurring within our existing communities. Our future used to look like the map that you see on the left side of the screen, where plans called for us to spread out toward the east and toward the rural areas, away from the coast. Now our future looks like the map you see on the right, with people and housing in vibrant and active community centers, and that's the result of our cities focusing on more compact development. This changing land use pattern has protected more open space, with roughly 55% of our entire region that will be preserved as permanent open space by 2050. And that's, for context, that's an area larger than the state of Delaware. In terms of housing mix and where the perspective is on the mix of housing, more than 80% of future new housing units built between now and 2050 are projected to be multifamily units. So in total, we would expect that half of the future housing stock will be multifamily, and that's shown on the right side pie chart. What these numbers really mean that in the future, more people will be living in existing communities, and the plan includes a focus on connecting those community centers with a variety of transportation choices, giving more people more options for getting around our region. So what's in the plan? Over the next 35 years, San Diego Forward commits 50% of its investment to transit. That's about $101 billion through the year 2050. Includes 5 new trolley lines, 32 rapid lines, and a significant increase in transit frequencies. These investments will more than triple transit ridership in our region. And some of the work is really already underway. So over the next 5 years, approximately 75% of all regional funds will be invested in transit and active transportation. In terms of our highway network, the future highway network will create a whole new set of attractive transportation choices for travelers, and this really supports our investment in transit using managed lanes for our rapid bus vehicles in addition to carpool vehicles. The region's investment strategy also includes expanding active transportation choices and building out our entire bike network. So Sandag is already moving forward with this effort, working right now on a $200 million bike early action program. Looking at technology, and that's kind of an important area, looking at the year 2050. And since this plan is updated every 4 years, the technology side is an important area to account for the advances in new mobility approaches and themes that can be incorporated in the plan to ensure the region's transportation system evolves with emerging trends and to seek out ways to maximize the efficiency of the whole system. So we even looked at connected and autonomous vehicles in this plan, and we'll continue doing that moving forward. One way geographically this is represented is in our mobility hub concept, and this is kind of putting a place to this technology where more active and active connections can be made between our transit system along with the technology support. In terms of the overall jobs and increase in the economy, we see that the plan will increase jobs at the rate of 53,000 per year, and an addition of 13 billion in annual GRP, which is something unique in our economic analysis. We did a social equity analysis too, and collaborated with community-based organizations, and found that overall in doing this process, no significant inequities were found. So that wraps it up for me, and I'll hand it back to Jonas.